Manchester City reached their 7th FA Cup semi-final in a row after beating Bournemouth 2-1. Here's how it all unfolded on talkSPORT.
Whilst the top 5 finish will see them salvage something, the FA Cup is their only chance of silverware in what, by their extraordinary standards, has been a desperate season. And they've got a penalty for a handball. Manchester City getting the decision from Stuart Atwell. Haaland has spotted the ball down, and he runs up, hits it left-footed. Aretha Balaga saves it, diving to his left, who's able to gather it.
I have to say, it's an awful penalty from Erling Haaland.
Left-footed, he stabbed it in. It's back from Clive and in from Evan Nielsen. Bournemouth lead Manchester City by a goal to nil.
Once you miss a few, you're praying for your teammates. Someone score. Someone get me out of this rut, and hopefully I'll get a chance further down the line.
Now Nico O'Reilly making his way forward. Haaland! 1-1. Sliding into the far post.
Haaland back in the game. Mentality, what are you talking about, Troy?
O'Reilly's won it though. Getting it through and through. Aretha Balaga and in. Mamouche.
Man of the match has to be Nico O'Reilly. What a performance from the young man.
City much the better side over the 90 minutes, and they've won by 2-1 to set up an FA Cup semi-final against Nottingham Forest at Wembley.
Well, the better side of the 90 minutes, maybe. They certainly weren't the better side in the first 45 minutes. If you heard Roy Keane at half-time, he was absolutely livid at the Manchester City players strolling around the pitch. That's what he said at half-time. Credit to Pep for turning things around in the second half. 2 questions about Erling Haaland. Obviously, the injury is a massive concern. Is his form a little bit of a concern as well?
I would suggest it is, actually. But do you know something? Dare I say it, he's probably one of these players where his form, actual overall form, doesn't matter that much. It's his goal-scoring pedigree that matters more than anything to Erling Haaland. He's one of these players, Jeff, as long as he's scoring goals, he'll get away with, I wouldn't say anything, but you know what I mean. He's one of these players. He clearly doesn't fancy linking up. He's more suited. He just wants to get a touch of the ball and then position himself for a finish, which is fine. Whereas you get a centre forward like Isak, he'll link up, he'll play, he'll contribute in other areas. So his actual playing form, I think it has dipped. But if his goal scoring goes along with that, then you've got a big problem. Big problem. Yeah. And I watched him. Listen, he missed the penalty. That can happen, but I think it's the third one he's missed this season. But then he's the type of guy who comes back and scores.
Yeah.
That's what he does, right? If he loses that, bang in trouble.
Yeah, and people will say the goal was a bit of a tap-in, but
many of them
right place, right time, correct. Still got the desire to get in there.
I don't buy that at all.
You raise your eyebrows. 7th successive FA Cup semi-final. Wow, that's a record, isn't it?
That is some achievement. I would maybe have said 3 or 4, Jeff. I did not think for a minute it was 7. That's a great achievement. It really is.
It really
and again, we go back to the question that we're asking earlier on. If City can go on and win the FA Cup and finish in the Champions League places, of course it's got to be a good season. It might not be what they're used to, but it's got to be a good season.
Well, Pep believes that success in the FA Cup won't save their poor season.
Listen, our lives is going to change if you win one FA Cup, more or less. I'm sorry, maybe it sounds not good, but we won a lot, and of course we want to win it. Like last season we played against United, so there's no doubts about that. But it's not going to change the season have been poor. So because the standard today we show, we didn't do that for many, many games. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been in the position I've been, because the team is as fantastic. The players are an incredible heart. They have proven for many, many years how good they are. But this season we drop. We drop a lot, too much. And when that happens, is difficult. You know that. Of course, we'll be happy. But now the target for the club, of course, semi-finals is qualify for the Champions League. We have 9 games, really tough, and yeah, we're going to try.
Yeah, and they've got 1 or 2 tough games. I mean, I know Manchester United have had a rotten season, but of course they've got the derby coming up in 2 games' time, and they might be going into that without Erling Haaland.
Listen, he's right what he says. I can understand him saying it would be a disappointing season even if they win the FA Cup, but it's where he's only saying that because of where they've been the last 4 or 5 years, which has been fantastic, and they've set a standard which has been, in all honesty, quite remarkable in many ways. You ask any other club if they could win the FA Cup. We just spoke about it, win the FA Cup and finish in Champions League. It's brilliant, but because I hear what he's saying, right? But where I would maybe disagree with him, I think still the majority of City fans would say, that's more than an acceptable season for us. Yeah, it's a decent season. Absolutely.
Leo's a Palace fan, just said, morning, Jeff and Ali. Ali, like your thoughts on what you thought of the Palace support on Saturday. Palace on their way to Wembley.
They were different class. They were absolutely different class. And I mention again, as with the Fulham fans, obviously prior to the game, they were in better spirits. Palace fans throughout, top class. Absolutely different. And you can tell, a bit like the Forest fans, you can tell they're just enjoying every moment, every game, everything that's happening at the club at this moment in time. And that's what it's all about. And that's why we've enjoyed it. Well, I've certainly enjoyed the FA Cup more this year than I have in many years. They've been a breath of fresh air. And by the way, while we're on it, I've just received a text from a friend of mine that says, just to let you know, Haaland's got 30 in all comps this season.
Yeah, not too shabby.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I get that. I completely get that. But
what would you rather? I mean, what do people want? You want him playing really well and he's only getting 15, or do you want him scoring 30?
Yeah,
I know what I'd rather have.
Absolutely. Text says, morning, Jeff and Ali. Listening to everything about just gone. It's just disappeared off my screen now. Morning, Jeff and Ali. Listening to everything on Villa, Palace, Newcastle, and Forest really puts into perspective how poor the ownership is at Tottenham. Time for change, and I imagine it must be difficult listening if you're a Tottenham fan.
Well, it must be actually. I mean, it's been a tough few years for Tottenham, but where it must be getting worse, I would imagine, and that kind of backs it up there. It's not a normal, suspects. It's not. It's just Liverpool and City, obviously, and maybe Arsenal. But now you're getting teams like Forest, teams like Brighton, teams like Bournemouth are actually going above them. And that must be really concerning.
Tony the Weltman on a sunny Bognor Beach says, second wife was a Spurs supporter, Hammer, ended in divorce. She's now the second ex-wife. And John from Salford, he's having a really bad day. John says, my wife doesn't like football, but every time United get beat, she takes the mickey out of me. Says you might as well support somebody else. I'd rather her support a rival because the stick I've got this season makes me want a divorce.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.